I just started the recording again. Hi, my name is Cori Frede. I am here from Visual Sound, and I'm going to be going through your new smart panels today, talking about the hardware, the software, and just a little bit. We did already check before starting the recording. The boards that you purchased do have built-in PCs, and it is going to be, your IT department is being made aware so that they could do what's called a re-image and make it so that you can log into your school district accounts on the PC, access all of your files, just as if it was your laptop or the computer in the library or anything else in the building. It'll all be the same computer once the IT department does that for you. Meanwhile, we're not going to actually look at the PC today. We are going to look at the Android, and we are going to look at, I am on a MacBook right now, but the software is similar. So we'll look at the software and we'll look at the Android. So the first thing I'm going to ask you all to do is, I would like you to, either on your phone or in a incognito window on your computer, I'd like you to go to hellosmart.com, and you are going to log in as a guest. The class code, when it prompts you for a class code, is 120636. Now, what I'm having you do is I'm having you log in as a student so that you can see what Lumio looks like from the student perspective. Lumio is the smart cloud. So when you are logging into that smart cloud, it is going to give you that ability to see everything that your students will see. And then we're going to flip it, and we're going to do the same thing for the teacher side, so you can see how to create the presentations. If you have PowerPoints, if you have Google Slides, if you have PDFs, you can bring all of that into Smart. But then once you've imported it into Smart, you're able to add interactivity to it, which is just going to take it to a whole new level. We're going to be able to have students interact from their devices. If you have a hybrid, like if you have a kid that's stuck at home quarantining, just like you're logging into my class virtually, your students can log into your class virtually and feel like they're still there with you. All right. Yes.
For signing in, do I do sign in or join as a guest?
Join as a guest.
Okay.
So your students, that's an excellent question though. Your students are always going to choose the login with their Google account. And the reason being is because I will show you there is a method for asynchronous. And you could actually, I don't know if you use Google Classroom or Canvas or any specific LMS, but you could actually send a link to your students and they can do this for homework. They can do this for, like, if you're doing like small groups, you can send a separate file to each group so that they're all working independently on different material. So logging in with Google is kind of a necessary for them. Logging in as a guest is just faster for now. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my camera view full view. And I'm going to get up and go to my board, because what I'm going to actually be showing you before I even preview this presentation for you, I am up at my board, and on my board, I have this little person icon in the corner, and I am going to click sign in, and I am going to log in with my Google account. So this way, my board and my computer are both actually going to be logged into that same account that we're looking at right now. So we are now logged into the board, and if I go to my files, I should see the file that we are currently working on. And we are currently working, I had to find it. I think I went to a different one. I'll check in a second. This is the problem when my title slides all look the same except for the name of the school. But so the file is loading here. And yep, so this one says River Rock Academy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the people icon in the corner, and I'm going to hit the start option. And so now my board is actually sharing directly with you. If I pick up my stylus and I underline, if you were on Hello Smart on the student view, you should see that underline pop up on your screen. So so basically what we're doing right now is, if you're watching me through the camera, you're seeing the presentation, you're seeing me we're writing on it. I'm changing the color over here and I'm writing on it. But sometimes if your classroom is glary or if your camera's far back, your kids aren't going to be able to see you on the camera. And it's more important for them to see the content than it is to see the teacher talking. So you could say to them, look at the browser and just listen to my voice through Zoom. Or you could also be doing this one-to-one in the classroom. Like you could have your kids sitting at their desks with the presentation on their laptop, because watch what I can do as well. If I click on that people icon again, now if you can see it in the camera view, right over here, there's an option that says everyone can edit. And when I turn on everyone can edit, the two students that are logged into this class are both going to see pens pop up, and they could actually write on this slide. So if either of you that are in Hello Smart right now want to just click on the pen and like draw a circle or put a squiggly line, just anything, just to show. So as you can see, you are writing on it and it's popping up on this presentation. So someone just put a red circle around getting started. So you can include all of your students if they're at their devices at their desks. Social distancing, you only have the two styluses. Maybe you don't want to have to disinfect between every kid. They could be connecting to you through the board on their devices. So it's a lot of really cool features. Yes, having a stylus and being able to actually write is definitely easier than using a trackpad on a laptop, but the capability is there, so they have the opportunities. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn off the everyone can edit, and we're going to go to the next slide. And this is some pictures. Now, unfortunately, these pictures are the newer model of the board. I didn't realize you had the last version of the MX, which is still a great board. They have a 10-year lifespan, so don't worry. It's not like you bought something that's like outdated. It's just one model below. So your convenience buttons are still located over here in the corner. The difference is what your buttons are. So you have a button that has 3 lines on it. I can almost guarantee you never want to use that button. That button is the board settings, your brightness, your treble, your bass, all of that type of settings. But unless you are one of those like audio aficionado, you have really good ears and you can adjust it perfectly, it's easier to just leave all those settings to the default. So that's what the 3-line menu is. The other buttons that you have on your board, you have one button that kind of looks like a square with an arrow in it. That is your input. The input button is going to be how you switch between your Android, your computer, and your laptop. So when you hit that input on your device, you are going to see a menu pop up. Compute card is the PC that's built into the board. Then you have OPS, which is your onboard, I don't remember what the acronym is, but OPS is your Android. So I'm on the Android right now, that is OPS. And then you'll also see HDMI and VGA listed. So those are what your inputs are, and that is how you would switch between the inputs. You hit that button of the square with the arrow and select the input that you would like to use. All right, so moving along, like I said, these are the wrong buttons for your screen. So I don't want to confuse you. We're going to skip past that. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to scroll through, because what I want you guys to do right now is I am switching over to an activity so you can see some of the interactiveness that you can add to your presentations. And we are going to go into teacher mode and show you how to do this in a few minutes. So what you're going to see on your screen is on your devices, it's going to say begin or start. I forget what exactly the button says, but you are able to click that button and it's going to open up with instructions on what to do. On my screen, because as you can see in the camera right now, the screen is black. If I hit down here at the bottom corner, it says teacher handout. I could pull the blank presentation slide up on the board so that my students in the room can see the blank slide and know what they should be looking at, what they're working on. What's really nice is as the teacher, I can go through and I can see what individual students are doing. So to get to there, I hit the back arrow, takes me back to that black screen, and I can click on Raquel. And I can see that she hasn't done anything on her screen yet, and that's okay. There's only 2 of you in the room, and obviously I had to pick on someone. So it's showing me her slide, and if she was to input something on that slide, I'd be able to see it as the teacher. If I click the back arrow, I can see that my second student did not open their presentation yet. That's really good for classroom management, because you know how you have some students that'll just sit there and then they raise their hand and they're like, I don't get it. If their name didn't show up, they didn't even open the file. They didn't even look at the worksheet. So that is like something really good just to know. Their name won't show up until they open the slide at least once. Now, does that mean that they're going to be doing the worksheet? No, it just means they opened it. So if their name, so you can see Jill's name just popped up because she opened hers. So maybe Jill was a student who was out at the restroom, or a teacher she got pulled out into the hallway for something for a moment. But once she opens the file, her name popped up. But that's how it is. Did either of you put anything on your slide if I pull it up now? So Raquel didn't put anything up. Jill, let's see. Nope, Jill didn't put anything either on the icebreaker slide. And that's okay, you don't have to.
Put something.
You put something?
Yes.
Was that Jill or Raquel?
Raquel.
Okay. Oh, she wrote hello. So as you can see now, when I clicked on hers, I can see what she did. As a teacher, I can come back in here and I could go right back to her. I could say hello with my terrible handwriting that looks more like a U than an E. There we go. But so I can write back to her. I can give her feedback. I can do all that type of stuff. And that is a great feature. Now on the board, you have to hit the back arrow to go between students. When you log in on the internet on your computer, you could actually get back a lot easier. You can go from student to student. So it will appear different on the board than it does on the computer, and we will look at that as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're actually going to do an activity called a shout it out. And this is one of my favorite things on the board. Your computers on your browser right now, you're going to see a text box. But on the board, I kind of have like a push pin board. I have just a blank board. So if I had a class in the room, I might say something like, all right, tell me what your plans are for this weekend. I heard it might be a snowy weekend. What do you guys think you're going to do? And, they could type something in the box, or if this is like a literacy class, I could ask them to, maybe come up with an analogy, or I'm really bad at coming up with examples on the fly, but you could ask any kind of question. One of the favorite things that I like to use Shout It Out for is for like an advisory class. If I click on the gear, I can turn off the display names. So you see there's that little toggle switch. When I turn it off, now, if anyone sends something up to the board, it won't say who, as I drop my stylus, it won't say who wrote it. So if one of you wants to just type something, you could even just type ABC. It doesn't matter. Just type something and hit submit. And what will happen is it'll pop up on the board, but it won't actually tell me who did it. All right, so you can see somebody typed ABC. This is why I said I really like this for health class and for advisory classes, because you could say to your students, look, I know that there are some times that, we're going to talk about some serious things today. And I don't want anyone to be embarrassed or scared of what they say. So, we turned off the names. I want you to just tell me something, like maybe you're being bullied at lunch, or maybe you're having issues. There's like food insecurities at home or something. So you can let the kids send stuff up to the board anonymously, but it's not actually anonymous. And that's the reason I really love this. So you can say to your students, nobody's going to know who said it in the class. Now, after class, and this is really important to do this after class and not while the kids are still in the room, but I can come back over to the gear I can turn my names back on. And now let's say that that ABC was actually something that concerning me, got to send it to the guidance counselor, got to make sure things are taken care of. I can come back here, pull up the names, put it right next to the names, take a screenshot, and now I can send the guidance counselor, Jill wrote this and I'd like you to follow up with her. So it's anonymous because the kids wouldn't know who said something, but for the accountability, mandatory reporting, all of that type of stuff, you as the teacher still have the ability to know who did it. If you're on the board directly like I am right now, you can't take a screenshot. If you're doing this, if you're hosting through your computer, you'll be able to take a screenshot. So that's another important thing to know. So if this was on my board like this, after the kids leave the room, I turn the names on, I would have to like take my cell phone and take a picture of it because you can't screenshot the Android. If you're on the PC or you're on your laptop, you can do a screenshot just like any other computer screenshot that you do. So again, when you're doing those shout outs, display name, you can make it anonymous or you can turn it on. And that way your students feel more confident. And you don't necessarily have to use the anonymous just for like those advisory and health issues. I know some math teachers make it anonymous so that the kids don't know who got the answer wrong. They all just send their answers to the board. And the teacher might notice, oh, this answer is wrong, but look, everyone else got it right. And then after class, the teacher can turn it back on and say, okay, I need to make sure Raquel understands this concept. But you could see like, oh, 90% of the class got it right, 10% got it wrong, but you don't actually have to put names. So that's, like I said, the turning the display names off, I always use the advisory and the health as the example, but there's so many other types of reasons you would need to do that. Now, this presentation that we're working on was pre-created for you, and I will give you a link to make a copy of it so you have all the resources that I provided. And you can see all those slides here on the side. Now, let's say I'm in class and I'm like, oh, I need an extra whiteboard because we are running out of room, you know, we need to do something. If I click the plus sign, I can add a blank whiteboard. I can create the shout out that we just did. I also have ready-made resources directly on the board. Graphic organizers, and you'll see we have a huge selection. Everything from Venn diagrams to T-charts to brainstorming webs. And we also have manipulatives. The manipulatives are going to be mostly for the elementary school grades. They're not very higher level, but we have counting coins, clocks, we have math expressions, we have the music teachers, you know, they really like this one. We have staff paper right here, but instead of having to like draw your treble clef, I can drag the treble clef right there, and I can drag all my quarter notes, and I can drag half notes. So the music teachers definitely really like that, and you can write on it. So if you were trying to write like your chords or your scale, you can do all of that. So it's dragging or writing, it both works. So, but that's the graphic organizers, and the manipulatives are right there. One other thing that I want to show you on this whiteboard before we go into the computer software is, and I'm going to show you the settings on how to set this as well. And we're going to make sure on your boards if this works or not, because I believe it should your software should update, but I know that at some point the older boards don't always get some of the newer features. But what you'll see is I can write on the board with the pen, and my finger is currently the mouse. Now, if I take both pens, I could write 2 lines at once, but my finger is still the mouse. If I come over here to the pen, I see a little icon that looks like a finger with a toggle switch, and that's what I'm not sure if your boards have, but we're going to check that for you. And if I click on that toggle switch, I can now write with my finger and write with the pens. And notice that my finger, I'm going to make my finger purple, and I'm going to make my finger red and the pen's green, because I can now write both red and green at the same time. In order to make my finger back to the mouse, I have to turn that toggle switch off. So we'll check in your settings if you have the ability to use your hand as an extra pen. It might not on the Android. It definitely will on the computer though. So don't worry if you don't see it on the Android, you will still see that on the computer. Now, because I'm logged into the board, everything we just did is saved to my cloud. So when I go back to my computer, I can open that same exact file and everything will be there exactly as we were. So again, to log in, you would click on the silhouette in the top corner, and then yours, because I'm already logged in, it has my initial here, yours would say sign in. And you would click sign in, log in with your Google account, and all your smart files would sync. Sometimes you'll see them listed here under recent, but sometimes you'll see right here, there's an option that says files. When I click files, everything that I have saved in my account that is a smart file, that is the biggest thing. It's only smart files. But all of my smart files just synced over. And I now have them all on my board going all the way back to when I started here at Visual Sound. If I keep scrolling, this account goes all the way back to 2019. But every file would be there. Some other things that are built into the board that you want to be aware of. And this is where if you're currently sitting in your classroom and you want to get up and check your board yourself to see, so that way if you have questions, please feel free to stand up and walk further away from your computer. Come off of mute if you have questions, not a problem. So on the bottom of the board, you're going to see the option that says settings. It looks like a little gear. And you're going to click on that because there are some settings that you as the teacher need to be aware of. Now, there are settings that you as the teacher don't want to touch. Network. If your internet is not working and you want to just troubleshoot, click on network and see if it's connected or not. You don't want to play with the networks though, because if your IT department has it password protected and you know everything is like locked down, you might not be able to get it back on if you accidentally turn it off. But that is where you can just troubleshoot, and like I just clicked on it, I'm like, oh, I am logged in. It says I'm connected to my Wi-Fi. So you want to check those type of things if you're having problems. The toggle switch here that just says on and off, that could be the easiest fix that you have, is just turning that on. It will automatically turn back onto the last Wi-Fi network it was connected to. So that toggle switch wouldn't mess you up. It's just like if you're trying to get around the parental blocks and maybe you tried to connect to your iPhone's Wi-Fi or something, that's where you're going to have trouble. So don't do that. But just know that the Wi-Fi is there, so if you have to check if it's connected or not, you can at least check the settings. Wallpaper, you can customize your background. You're also going to notice up top, it says add pictures from a USB drive. Plug a USB down here with an image file, and you can put anything you want as the background. So let's say you want to put your school mascot. Let's say you want to put a calendar. Whatever you want as the background, flash drive, pictures will all pop up right here. You also have all of their default files, so they have a lot of backgrounds you can choose from. Like I love the Epcot one. I know it's not actually Epcot, but it really looks like Spaceship Earth, so I always customize to that one. Application settings. Smart whiteboard. This is where the two settings that I want you to check for your boards is located. So when you click on Smart Whiteboard under Application Settings, at the bottom, you're going to see the option that says Other, and I want you to make sure that Enable Finger Inking and Enable Shared Whiteboard are both turned on. We looked at both of those features. The shared whiteboard is how you were writing on my whiteboard from your computers, and the finger inking is how I could use my hand to write. So I want you to check if those two features are turned on your board. And if you don't see those options at all, let me know, because it's possible that they are from, the newer versions of the board, and it doesn't retrograde when the software updates. So
How do you do that?
How do you get to that? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I got kicked out. Sorry. So I missed that little tidbit.
No, that's okay. So I'll go back to my home screen.
So I'm at the settings.
Okay, so you click on settings.
Okay.
And then Smart Whiteboard.
I don't see that.
It should be application settings.
Gosh, of course my phone died, so I can't like turn this around. I don't know if I can turn this around. I don't know.
All good.
Mine has screen lock, advanced, update, recovery, about, exit on the left.
Huh. Interesting. So you don't have all of these options that I have?
Let's see if I can move this now.
I'm not sure. You should like it
Should I try advanced maybe?
Yeah, click on advanced, see what comes up.
Okay. That's okay. Oh, touch setting, use default touch settings. Should I do that? Or don't touch that.
This is the thing, because yours is apparently sounding different than mine. I don't want to tell you something wrong because all the boards that I've seen look like this. So,
Here, let's see. I don't think my camera even works on this computer. That's what's a bummer. Yeah, so you can't even see. I can't even show you it. Stink.
yeah, I see whoever just turned their camera on. I'm just seeing like a blurry.
Yeah, this one doesn't. It's lovely. Yeah.
Huh.
Hold on. Okay, let's see if I can move, because last time I moved with the laptop, I didn't like that.
Okay.
Because I have like 18%, so soon enough it's gonna kick me out on my phone. So I'll try to sign back in on my phone too, so I can show you.
Okay. I feel bad that your batteries are dying on you.
It's okay. Well, my laptop battery's good, but then the screen doesn't work.
Okay. I mean, in terms of the hardware, we have pretty much looked at everything with that Android. It was just me showing you those little settings that you might need to adjust, but since yours seems to be different. Okay, I see you're opening your camera, so let me replace my spotlight with you so I can see what you have. Okay, well now I'm looking at the floor. Beautiful floor, very clean.
I was trying to mute the other one, but it's gonna be like an echo. Sorry.
Okay. Go back to the Android home screen for me.
Okay. So like this one.
Yep. So OPS. Oh, that's why you're currently on the compute card. Go to OPS.
That works.
Yeah. So you were on the PC.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Just on the bottom, you should be able. You see that line right above the pen holder? That takes you back to your Android home screen on yours. So like I said, yours is slightly different than mine. So this is actually good. So that little line on the bottom is how you get back to the home screen for the Android every time.
Okay.
Now settings. Yep.
Okay.
Now it looks the same. Okay, so click on the one that says Smart Whiteboard. All right, you don't have the options. So for me, it's right below that annotation layer one. So we're going to try one more thing. So go back to the left side and click software updates at the bottom. And then you're going to click check for see last updates, May 14th, 2021. Check for updates.
It says you are up to date.
Yeah, but it says it was last checked May 14th. So check. There you go. It's downloading the updates, and hopefully once it updates and installs, you'll have all the features that I was showing you just now.
Okay, awesome.
I was going to show you that update next. So here's the issue. Your boards are on carts. I could obviously see that from the way you're holding your camera.
Yep.
And you have that laptop tray. So if you did get the keyboard and mouse, you have the tray right there.
Okay.
But so what happens is if the board is not plugged in, it's not updating. It's just like, you know how after, when you turn your computer on after going away for vacation and it says like, oh, you have 17 Windows updates. It's the same thing. If the board's not turned on, it's not getting the updates. So it said up to date, but that was up to date on May 14th, 2021. A lot of updates have come through the board since then. So you don't have to keep holding your phone looking at the once that gets to the 100%, you're going to see the option to install.
Okay.
Basically just, follow through the motions, click install, don't unplug the board, let it do its thing. And when it turns back on, you should have all the newer features.
Yay.
And that goes for everyone. If you are noticing the same thing, do that check for updates. So I really appreciate you being my model there and showing us how that worked. That was very sweet of you to do that for us. Those are the only settings that you would really want to play around with. You would want to go to the smart whiteboard and make sure you turn on sharing and turn on finger inking. And check for updates, because if the board was unplugged over vacation or over a weekend, there might be updates that didn't come through. So check for updates, change your whiteboard settings. Everything else in settings is pretty much standard. Leave it the way your IT department either already set it up or default. Like, you don't have to adjust the brightness of the screen. Go with whatever they already set it for. You don't have to adjust the time zone and the date. Hopefully that was all done for you. But all of that would be in the settings as well. All right. So that is pretty much it for the Android. Any questions about the Android before we move on to how to switch to a computer or any of those type of things? Okay. So just a reminder, OPS is your Android, compute card is the built-in PC to your board. Now you're also going to see 2 HDMIs in the VGA. I'm gonna zoom my camera into the front of my board. There we go. Okay. And focus. All right, so do you see down at the bottom of my board, I have the 2 USBs and then I have the square USB and the HDMI. On the back of the board as well, you're gonna have other HDMIs. So because you guys are on a cart, you might plug your USBs into the back like I have mine, but you could also plug into the front. On the back and on the front, you're gonna notice that little bracket. So you see how the square and the HDMI both have that, are in that same bracket? That's because those two go together. And it's really important when you plug in your 2 cables that they're inside the same bracket. Now you'll notice that this USB looks similar to the USB that you would have on a printer. In fact, the official name is USB-A, but I always refer to it as the printer USB cable. But you would plug in the USB here, the HDMI here, and then those 2 cables would connect to your computer. Now, if you do have the older laptops that don't have HDMI, that's where you might need a VGA cord. VGA, let me zoom back out. The VGA is going to be behind the board over here. And if I was to turn my cart, you would see that back panel over here. And it's a little hard to kind of talk it through, but you would see a couple HDMIs, the VGA, and they're all just right back here. So you can notice that my cables are plugged in. Same idea, you would plug it in there. When you hit the input button on your board, mine shows previews, yours shows a list. That just has to do with that. That's one of those updates that they did to the board. So you'll see that mine says HDMI 1, HDMI 2, HDMI 3, and VGA. Yours is just a list. You don't get the screen previews. But you click on the HDMI that you want to connect to, and you'll see now we're looking at my computer, which is now kind of showing a mirror of the Zoom call, because the camera, the Zoom, the camera, you get it. Notice that the touch works. I can control my screen. I can come over here to this little hand. I can click on the pen and I could write on my screen. Notice that when I write on the screen, it opened up like a PDF looking type of thing, or not a PDF, a Post-it note. I can then click on the Post-it note, keep writing. If I go back to the hand arrow, I can click on the pen in the corner and I can click capture ink, and that would save my writing. It gives me the option, choose save location. I'm saving it to my documents folder and it saved the ink. I can then X out of there. So that's slightly different on the Mac and the PC. The PC is going to just write directly on the desktop. The Mac opens up the Post-it note, but it's the same concept that as soon as you try to write, if I pick up the pen, I don't even have to select anything because the pen is obviously going to know it's a pen. You'll see, I'm going to switch my screen share right now so that you can see this a little better. So give me 1 second. All right, so now what you're seeing is you should be seeing my computer screen big and my camera small in the corner. This way you can just see the computer screen a little easier. I do have dual screen on right now, so what I'm gonna do is on my laptop, I'm gonna open Smart Notebook. And I am going to just drag that over to the window that we have open so you can see what you'd actually be seeing. Now, do you guys know how to do split screen versus mirror screen on your computers?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
No.
All right. So you have PCs, correct?
Yes.
All right. So this is really cool. On your PC, you should have a button right next to the space bar that has the Windows logo.
Yes.
I want you to hold that button and type the letter P. So you're going to hit Window P, and you should see a little bar pop up on the right of your screen. And this will only work if you currently have the computer plugged into the board.
Oh, just kidding.
I could have said that before.
Like,
When you do that, Windows and the P, it's going to open up a little menu and you will see mirror screen, extend screen. I think it's called extend, but it'll say like main screen only, second screen only, mirror screen, and extend screen. When you do extend screen, I'm going to just play some more with my camera for you for a second. So right now, you are actually looking at both of my screens. So what you're seeing right here on the left, that is my computer screen. You can see the Zoom call. You can see me talking to you like a little mirror image. And then this screen to the right is my smartboard. But watch this. I could take the chat window that's currently on my main screen and I just drag to the right and look. Now it's on my smartboard. And if I move the camera, you could even see that it's currently on the smartboard. That is how extending screen works. The reason that teachers really like extending screens is because what happens if you have notes on the board and your students are doing stuff, but you need to quickly, check an email. Okay. Well, I could open a website or I can go to Google Drive and I can get that next file ready while my students are taking notes at the board. So the extended screen is a really handy feature to just be able to have multiple things going. Now, I just want to double check because I know we started later. Did we say an hour or did we say an hour and a half for today? Just time check so I know where I'm at.
I think 45 minutes to an hour because
okay.
Yeah,
because you guys are after school. All right. So in that case, I am going to show you one last thing today, and then I know that we do have to reschedule the second training. So hopefully when we get that second training, we'll get more into the software. So what I want you guys to look at is we are going to actually look at whatchamacallit. We are going to look at Google Drive really quick, and I'm just going to show you how to do some of these things that you might be interested in doing. So we're in Google Drive, and when you click on New, More, you should see Lumio by Smart. If Lumio by Smart is not an option, what you're going to do is you're going to click Connect More Apps. You're going to type Lumio, and you're just going to install it on your Google Drive. So if it's not already there, you just have to click Add and create it.
Are we doing this right now?
We're running out of time, so I'm just kind of showing you. We'll get into this during the second training.
Okay, cool.
And I apologize I should have done the time check earlier on the call. Where's the chat? I am gonna put a link in the chat right now for you. This is actually the slide deck from today. So that way it'll make a copy into your Google Drive of the slide deck, and that slide deck does have some screenshots, some descriptions, and then like some really quick like tutorial type things. So here's like showing you this Google Drive connection that I'm talking about. It has my tips. This is like my personal pedagogy of best practices. So this is not like a rule. This is not, you have to do it this way. This is just my personal, how I recommend doing it. And it also has, the last slide has all my contact information for you. So I wanted to make sure I gave you that. When you're in that More and that Lumio by Smart, I just want to show you really quickly, when you click on it, it opens a new tab. You don't want to bookmark this tab because you want to bookmark, you want to always go through Google Drive. By going through Google Drive, it organizes your files. If you go through this, if you bookmark this, it won't organize your files. They will only be chronological, and you will never be, you'll have to just start scrolling to find them. So going through Google Drive is going to keep you organized. When you get in here, you would click that green Add Activity, and this is the last thing I want to show you, because this way you can go off and play on your own and come back to me with questions. When you click on that Add Content, it's a little trick of a wording. It shouldn't say Add Content. It should say Make New Presentation. I don't design the software, but when you click that Add Content, the first option on top says Import Resources, and you'll see it says PDF, Notebook, PPT, or Google Slides. You can import from your hard drive, so local storage is your computer. And if you have a network drive at your school, that would include your network drive. That's anything you access through the computer. My library is older smart files that you have, and Google Drive is obviously Google Drive. So if I was to click on Google Drive, it opens it up. I can pick any file that it shows me. So I'm going to click these sample files, and you're going to notice I have PDFs, PowerPoints, Google Slides, Docs. I could open any of them. And if I was to open, say, this sample PDF, it's going to import it. So what it's doing is it's basically taking a picture of the PDF and creating it into a smart file. It then asks me, do you want all the pages or do you just want one page? Obviously, this sample PDF was only one page. I click Add, and now that PDF is a smart file. If you remember, I mentioned on the Android, it only syncs your smart files. It won't sync your PDFs, your Google Slides. This is how you convert it into a smart file. If I want my students to do it as a handout, I click the magic wand and I make it a handout. Now, every student that logs in is going to be able to answer those questions, and I can go in as the teacher to check their work. So we are out of time because I want to be respectful and not hold you over. If you have questions about what we did today, please ask. And when we come back, whenever we schedule that next session, we are going to focus completely on the software. So I wanted to show you some of the software just to get you started, but we did kind of run out of time a little bit.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. And I will upload this to YouTube for you and get you the link to the video.
Okay, thanks so much, Cori.
Yep.